Good afternoon. Thanks for bearing with me. Had some technical issues I had to take care of. So my name is Chris Peterson. This is the MLS new member orientation. Hopefully that's what you are here for this afternoon. If you were here this morning for the rules class, there'll be a slight overlap at the beginning. That's just the way this presentation is. Problem is we don't know who was here, who wasn't, so we'll just kind of leave it in there. So my name is Chris Peterson. Like I said, we're going to talk about the MLS a little bit about rules. Then we're going to talk about some tools and resources the MLS provides, product and services, a little bit about Paragon, and then an antitrust presentation. So the MLS has two classes they require. The new member orientation that you're at now, and then the rules class that we had this morning. There aren't any other classes the MLS requires. Now, that being said, if you're at an office where you're going to input your own listings, there's an input maintenance class to have you take. But it's not one that you're told by membership is required, because if you're not at an office where you're going to enter listings, you don't have to take it. So if you're at a class, if you're at like Keller Williams or Silver Creek or someplace where you're going to input your own listings, there's an input class. We just had one last Friday. The next one is, I think, in 2 weeks. We have them about once or twice a month. Go over inputting listings. Now, it doesn't mean you can't enter a listing, or let me rephrase that. It doesn't mean you can't have a listing before you take that class. It just means you don't type it in. Someone else at your office can do that until you have that class. And then you only have to do the class once. Once your broker approves it, then you can input and maintain your own listings. You switch offices. The new broker has to approve it. So as we go through this afternoon, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I want to make sure we get everything covered that we need to. Let's take a look here at something. All right. So participants, brokers, agent subscribers, when you look at the rules and regulations, you'll see those words. We talked about them in the rules class this morning. A broker is a participant. They participate in the MLS. Their role is they provide the data. You may think you're the listing agent. It's your listing, but it's really a broker's listing. I mean, that's the way it works. So the broker is the one that participates in the MLS. Agents or subscribers, they subscribe to the MLS service. So when you see participant, subscriber, it means broker and agent. The MLS has two purposes: a means by which participants make a unilateral offer of cooperation and compensation. So it makes it easy for you, if you have a listing, to provide it to the other members so they can find buyers for you. The second purpose is a facility for the correlation and dissemination of listing information among participants. The MLS is the Sears catalog of homes. That's the same joke from this morning. Basically, the MLS is here so that if you have a buyer, you can easily find a property they want to purchase. Equally, if you have a property you're selling, it makes it easier for buyers to find it. So to accomplish this, the MLS has business rules in place for accuracy of data. That's the key. Data accuracy is what the MLS cares about. We don't care about your seller's house looking fine online. We don't care about making your seller happy. We want accurate data. So all the rules the MLS has is for the accurate data, and that accurate data can be shared with the agents and brokers. I've yet to meet an agent who says, man, I wish our data sucked. I wish it took 2 weeks to get sold listings, and I wish it took 6 months for actives to be put in. Everybody wants accurate data. The only person who doesn't is the person trying to get away with something. I mean, how can you do CMAs if you don't know what homes have sold for and that they've been entered in a timely manner? How can you find properties for your buyer when they're not all in the MLS the way they're supposed to be? And so we want that accurate data. We are a regional MLS, cover from Ontario to Twin Falls, Latah County up in northern Idaho. Moscow was just recently added. They became part of Intermountain MLS. There's about 5,100 agents in Idaho and Eastern Oregon. About 75,000 listings annually go through Intermountain MLS. These are the associations that are primary with Intermountain MLS: Boise Regional Realtors, the Caldwell Board, Elmore County, which is Mountain Home, Emmett Valley, Four Rivers, which is Payette, Washington County, and Malheur County, Latah, which we just mentioned, the Nampa Association, and Western Magic Valley, which is Twin Falls and Jerome. Yeah.
Kind of off the topic, maybe, but are we allowed to sell homes in Ontario?
In Oregon, you have to have an Oregon license.
So it is Oregon.
Yeah. Yep. And so right, you have access to their information, and there's agents that are over on the border that have licenses in both states. But yeah, to be able to sell just unequally, people from Ontario to sell in Idaho would have to have an Idaho license. Yep. So we have an 18-member board of directors. The board approves policy decisions for implementation by MLS management. Just like any other company out there, the board of directors decides what's going to happen, and then the staff takes care of that. Our organizational structure, there's 10 people that work at the MLS. We're not a very big organization. So if you have an issue, usually it's one person that's going to cover it. If I had come down with pneumonia this morning, you would have got an email telling you probably the class was canceled, or you'd had somebody up here guessing what I say on all these slides. So we know we're very specialized. There's not a lot of overlap. So if you are coming to a class or you have a question about your lockbox key, you're going to talk about to somebody specific about that. We're not all cross-trained. So just keep that in mind if you ever get an email about an issue or you call to talk to somebody. If you call and talk to tech support and you have a question about your lockbox key, we're going to transfer you to membership because they deal with the keys. If you call membership and have questions about Paragon or Instanet, they're going to transfer you to tech support because that's what they deal with. So just keep that in mind. We have two committees, the Rules and Policies Committee and the New Tech Committee. If you're interested in rules, changing the rules, you're getting rid of rules, that's the committee to do that with. If you want to be on the committee, it's a one-year commitment. They meet once a month. The New Tech Committee also meets monthly for a year at the commitment if you're on that committee. And they're the ones that deal with all the technological things. Anytime we have a new product or service that we provide, last August we launched HomeSnap, the Lockbox Exchange from a little over a year ago. Anytime we have changes technologically, they start with the New Tech Committee, then the board approves things like, I don't know when it is up exactly, but every time we have to re-up our contract with Black Knight for Paragon, the New Tech Committee sometimes will entertain presentations from other MLS systems just to see, make sure we're getting a good deal, make sure we've got all the bells and whistles that we need to have. So they sometimes do that as well. That's the New Tech Committee. So photos. If you're a listing agent or co-agent, you can upload your photos. You don't have to take a class. Your broker doesn't have to give approval. Your name's on the listing. You can do it. We can upload listings for you as well. It's $10 for us to do that. You just email them to us. We're not going to not take your money, but if you can attach those to the email, you can upload them yourself. It's not hard to do. As far as requiring photos, only existing residential structures require photos. To be built, under construction, not residential, don't require photos. And the time frame is the next business day after you put it into the MLS. And when you're entering listings, I don't know if I talked about this morning, you can enter listings as partial listings, or whoever's entering your listings. You can enter a partial up to 6 months in advance. So you can have all the data entered, all the photos uploaded, ready to go well ahead of time, so that when it's time to go live, you're just clicking save and it's all there. So it's not like you have to enter your listing and then jump in and go upload all the photos within one day. You could do all of it ahead of time if you wanted. The time frame for entering that listing information is the next business day. For entering a listing, it's the next business day after you begin marketing. Any other change, it's the next business day after it occurs. Like if it's pending, the next business day after the offer is accepted. Entering it as sold, the next business day after it closes. And if it's not going to go into the MLS by that next business day, then the waiver of benefits has to be used. So basically, it's either in the MLS or you have a waiver of benefits. There's no third option. The waiver of benefits is a signed document by your seller that basically is letting them waive the privilege of having a listing in the MLS. It means this listing, this broker is not going to have that listing in the MLS. The waiver of benefits is used with coming soons, office exclusives, anytime you're withholding it is that waiver of benefits. If you see a listing that has a sign in the yard, but you can't find it in the MLS, on the dashboard right here is the listing waiver search. And you can go there and search by address or agent name and find properties that have waivers. So if you saw one or your client saw one, you could pull it up here. So the waiver of benefits is the exception to the rule. You're not going to have it in the MLS. And the board really wants you to use the waiver of benefits. The fine for not using it is $500 for the first offense, $750 for the second, $1,000 for the third. So basically, if you're a listing agent and you've got a listing and you're marketing it at all, it's got to be in the MLS or you have to have the waiver. When I say marketing it at all, talking about it at your office meeting, emailing a potential buyer, that's marketing. And I had someone say, well, how is the MLS going to know if I did that? There's 5,100 agents that are all competitors that all like to make sure no one gets away with something. So, you know, the waiver of benefits is there if you're not going to put it in the MLS. If you're putting it in the MLS, then of course you don't need that. When you're entering information on listings, the parcel number is required. That parcel number links to the tax data. So if you've ever seen a listing that didn't have the tax icon, it's because the parcel number was wrong. I just talked to somebody yesterday on the phone, and he was really concerned that the parcel number was correct. So before he even saved it, he called to make sure they had the right number in there, which he did. He had it right. And he asked about a previous listing, which apparently he hadn't looked at because it already had the tax icon on there as well. So he had done that first listing correct also. So you just want to make sure the parcel number is correct. When you're entering your square feet, in Paragon, there's not a total square feet field. It's broken down by level and finished status. There's unfinished and finished status for above grade and below grade. You want to make sure you enter it correctly. And then the totals on the listing. When a listing closes, you enter them as sold, not canceled. Canceling a sold listing could be a fine against the listing office or agent. Cancel's used when the next one talks about it. 2 down here talks about it. Canceled is used when your listing agreement is canceled. Instead of letting the listing expire, the seller decides to cancel it with you. That's what you put into Paragon, indicating that seller rep agreement has been canceled. An unpublished sold would be a listing that had that waiver of benefits, and so it was never put into the MLS. And after the fact, the listing agent wants to put in for comps or for tracking their production. So that would be the unpublished sold. The only difference is everything's entered at the end. So instead of being entered when it was initially listed, it's entered after it's closed, and the status would say unpublished sold. Temporarily off market is a status that if you understand what those 3 words means, you understand what that status means. It means the listing's unavailable. When a listing's temporarily off market, it cannot be shown by anyone. The listing agent can't allow it to be shown. When it's temporarily off market, in the agent remarks, the listing agent has to either put when it's coming back or why it's not. You don't have to write a novel, just, available 2/15/17. That's all you need. The temporarily off market, like I said, no showings are available, but those listings also won't be included in any MLS listings indication feeds. They're not going to go to any websites. If they were on a website, they'll be pulled off because our data won't send that information there anymore. And they're still going to accumulate days on market. So temporarily off market, there's no advantage to that. It's meant as a pause button for your seller. So if the seller has a reason to not have the property be available, but they don't want to cancel the listing, temporarily off market is the status that would be used. And then in order for someone to show the property, that temporarily off market listing has to be put into an active status. So you put it back on market so somebody could show it. And if you show a temporarily off market listing or you allow your temporarily off market listing to be shown, then there could be a $500 fine assessed to both sides. So you just don't want to do it. If it's temporarily off market, it's unavailable. Section 2.5 of the rules talks about sold price being disclosed. You have to disclose that information. And on the front page of Paragon, if you go to membership info, you can go down to rules and regulations and see the rules. The violation chart is also there. Now, the violation chart is nice because in black and white, it shows you what the fine is associated with the violation. There's not some committee that meets once a month and willy-nilly decides what somebody's going to get fined if they do something. And so you can go to the violation chart, see what the fine is. Some of them have first, second, and third tiers of fines. Most don't. And most of them are $100. So that's the violation. That's the first part. There's the second part of the violation chart. So you can see that. And both of those are accessible from the membership info menu. If you see a listing that has issues, the correction button is available above every listing. And when you hit the correction button, it lets you send an email to the MLS to tell us what's wrong with the property. That's a key important point to remember. We've had people use the correction button before thinking it was sending it to their broker or to the staff person at their office that enters and changes listings. Somebody emailed once and said, well, I emailed the correction button and told them to change my price, but they never did. Well, that's not what the correction button's for. It's going to come to us and tell us what the problem is. So if you see an issue with the listing, let us know. You don't have to use the correction button. If you want to talk to the agent yourself, you can do that too. We want accurate data. It doesn't matter how we get it accurate, whether it's us approaching an agent or a broker or you talking to them. We just want accurate data. So some websites to remember. Our members website is imlsmembers.com. And if you weren't aware, the middle of Paragon right here is our members page, imlsmembers.com. Our consumer site is intermountainmls.com. It's a public site. The consumers can come there and search for properties, search for open houses, search for agents or offices. We have public statistics available that are monthly. They have historical statistics back for a few years. So intermountainmls.com is our public site. The NAR website, the industry site, is realtor.org versus realtor.com, which is a listing site. So realtor.org is where you can go for NAR information. IAR, the Idaho Association of Realtors, now called the Idaho Realtors, is idahorealtors.com. And then the login page for Paragon, paragonimls.com. That's the login page. Just put that into your browser. It'll bring up the login page for you. It's a lot easier than trying to Google IMLS Paragon login because ours will never be on the first page of the search results. Just paragonimls.com, all one word, will take you to the login screen. So IMLS services, basic MLS services are $78 a quarter per agent. And I don't know why it's called basic. We don't have advanced or professional. We just have one level, basic. Basic MLS service includes unlimited access to the MLS database. And I've had people say, well, when has it been limited? In my time, it hasn't been limited, but there was times before where you could only log into the MLS system for so long, a certain periods of time of the day, with your dot matrix printer and your command line prompt to search property. So, years ago there were limitations. Now, of course, there are not. So you can access Paragon. You can access Paragon Mobile. You can access it through your PDA. That's an old word that old people know that means smartphone. That's your PDA, your personal digital assistant. Unlimited listing changes. You're not limited to changing your listing only 10 times. If you wanted to go in every minute and change the price, more power to you. Have fun with that. But, there's no limit. We also have other services. We have a computer lab. A lot of you that came in this way, just to your right as you came in, is the computer lab right there. We have 16 seats in there. I think we have 12 computers, open spots for people to bring their own as well. And we have also training that we do in there, training we do out at other offices. We have classes on Paragon, Instanet, Cloud CMA, RPR, listing input classes like I mentioned earlier. Cloud CMA, we're having a Cloud CMA class Friday. Next week, there's some Paragon classes. We had Paragon last week. Some of those classes, the Paragon ones, RPR, Instanet right now, those 4 classes have CE credit. Right now, the other ones don't. We've tried to get CE credit for some, but the state has some pretty high restrictions about if it's not available to everybody, you can't give credit for them. And then it says forms preparation assistance. That's specifically talking about the data forms for the MLS. We can't help you fill out the RE21 or the RE14. That's not our form. That's the Idaho Realtors. They can help you with that. If you're looking for more than a support call on forms, those contracts, the Boise Regional Realtors and a lot of other associations, there's a forms class that Andy and Rico teaches that goes through and talks about how to fill out the contracts. But the forms preparation that we provide is for the data forms, for listing information. And then technical support. If you call for phone support on Paragon, we're who you call. There's no phone support on Paragon outside of our office. We provide it here. So when we're not open, the phone support's not available. But that also means if you have a question, you can come in and talk to somebody. You don't have to call on the phone. You can come in and talk to Nick, Christian, Barb, Chris Lee, myself. We can all help you. So Intermountain MLS Gateway, or the dashboard. I always call it dashboard, but it's technically the Intermountain MLS Gateway. This is the single sign-on screen for all the programs the MLS provides. And some of them, initially, you have to sign up. You have to create your own login and password for some of them. Some of them have a cost involved. As we go through this afternoon, if there's a cost involved, I'll try to remember to say that. Most of them do not. In fact, just off the top of my head right now, I will tell you, Listing Book has a cost involved. Goomsy has a cost involved for part of it. And RDesk is for the links for your IDX search. So there's cost involved there. But the rest of them, there's no cost involved with those items. So our members page, we kind of talked about where it is. It's the front page of Paragon. The members page is important because anytime there's updated information, it's on that members page. We put it in the bulletin that goes out. We put it in social media. but it's always going to be on the members page. So as you're logging in, it's useful to take a glance there and see what's going on. Like this was done back in November when Client Connect 2 came out. So it talks about that. You can go to the training info and resources page right here under the in the middle page of Paragon. Just go to training info and resources. And there's links there to a lot of the products and tools the MLS has. For example, today we're going to talk about Find. Find is right here on this list. But let's say tonight you're back at your house or tomorrow at your office and you're like, what was that Find program that Chris talked about? You could come here to the training info and resources page, go to whichever product you want to find out about, and there's information on it. Now, I will tell you, I've had many people say, well, I don't like getting information online. Sorry to tell you, that is the world we live in. I mean, we launched HomeSnap in August. We might be having them come to an event later this year, but their primary way of training people is online. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, and doesn't mean we won't have a class on it eventually, but a lot of these probably, if we had a class on all of these, it would be hard to include all of those all the time. Plus, for example, we've done classes in the past like Cloud CMA. Very rarely is that class full. And it's not because people aren't using it. People use it all the time. But Cloud CMA is easy to learn if you actually go try it. If you haven't used it before and you want to go to a class first, that's awesome. But I know that class doesn't fill up because people go and try it and realize that it's not very hard to use. And I'm not saying they're all as easy as Cloud CMA, but there's information out there so you don't have to wait till you take a class to go try something. So another service the MLS provides is IDX service. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange. That's the overarching term that means listings on websites. So it allows brokers and agents that have broker permission to advertise active listings on their personal or company sites. Section 18 of the rules and regulations cover how that can be displayed. What information has to be on there, what can't be displayed. So there's a lot of third-party vendors and local vendors that provide the search implementation for that IDX. So when we talk about IDX, we're talking about you going to Joe Realtor's website and he says, look for listings, and you put in your criteria. That place you're putting in your criteria, that's the frameable link. That's the IDX part of the website. Brokerage firms can get a custom solution if they want. A lot of brokers have IDX options that they can offer to their agents as well. We have a smart framing solution that can be customized and used in your website. It has a map search. You can get custom search feeds, get lead generation from it. To use ours or to create one with a third-party vendor, there's a $25 setup fee. And then ours is $10 a month or $30 a quarter to use. Now, I'm not showing you ours because I'm trying to sell it to you. I'm showing it to you because it should be the bottom of the barrel. When you're looking for an IDX solution for your website, remember the limits that ours has and make sure that whoever you're going with does more than we do. 5 years ago, this was great. They haven't updated it for 5 years. And if our revenue was based on selling this to agents, we would have an updated one. But that's not where the revenue comes from. That's not our goal. So when you're working with a website provider, keep that in mind. So this is the search. Let's see if it'll come up for me like it should. Here we go. So this is just the regular search screen. Pretty basic. Come in here and put some criteria in there. Advanced search. They can put that advanced information in there if they want. But really, if you're going to have a website, the way you want people to be able to come search is by map. I mean, think about the last time you went to Zillow or Realtor.com. Did you enter a lot of text and type a lot of things, or did you click around on a map? You clicked on a map. I mean, that's the way it is. And so this is an example. I don't know where I am here. Let's zoom out here a little bit. So here's our map search example. And of course, this would be framed into your website. Somebody can come here and enter the location they want, and they can view different views, a map view, a list view of the properties, or a photo view. The big thing with having a search ability on your website is, you probably have the listings on your website, not because you want to sell your own listings, but because you're trying to get leads from people who want to buy a house, no matter who it's from. And so on this particular account, this fake account I've got set up here, I can go over all these little houses and it gives me a little bit of information and a little preview. But if I click on view details, you will notice it makes me log in. That's the whole point of a website, is to capture those leads and then turn those leads into sales. And so whether you use our site or somebody else's, you want to make sure that's part of what's going on. Because other than if you're not doing that, then you're just paying money for people to come look at listings for free and then call somebody else. So you're trying to capture that information. Now, like I said, I'm only showing you ours just so you know what we have. There's a lot better ones out there. People ask all the time, what are some good vendors to use or designers to use? We don't really keep a list of those. I mean, we don't promote one company over another. What I would say is if you see a site that you like and you like the way their search looks, typically at the bottom of most websites, it's going to tell you who developed it. And not that they're going to do the exact same thing for you they did for somebody else. They probably can't do that, but they can do something similar. And so just if you like somebody's site, find out who developed it for them and then contact that developer. We are another service we provide. We're a leasing administrator for Supra. We have the Express Key and the E-Key products available. The Express Key is the picture here on the bottom right. It's the actual physical device. It's an annual lease that's renewed every October. So if you were to get an Express Key today, you didn't pay $241.55. You paid a prorated amount from now until October. Come October, you'd pay that whole amount again. The E-Key has two options, professional and basic. Professional allows you to have listings and a roster on your device. And you might think, well, why would I need listings? I can go online and get those listings. And that's true. But what the E-Key Professional does, it lets you download the data. So if you were in a place where you didn't have data coverage, you still could have property information on your phone. It's not going to have pictures, but it would have listing information, the agent remarks, the listing agent contact information. And so that's one of the things the Professional does. It's $27.80 a month, and that's automatically on a credit card or a debit card. The E-Key Basic, what that's going to do is just make your phone into a key. Doesn't have the roster, doesn't have the listings, but it turns your phone into a key, and that's $16.10 a month. If you price it out, the E-Key Basic is cheaper than the Express Key annual lease. So the E-Key Basic is the cheapest. No matter which version of the key you use, there's a $75 activation fee. But then if you started with the Express Key and you want to change to an E-Key, you don't have to pay the $75 again, just pay it the one time. Now, if you go inactive and turn everything in and then reactivate a year later, you'll have to pay it again. And we're a leasing administrator for Supra. That's not our fee, that's Supra's fee to start that contract with you. You don't want to share your key. It's a $500 fine. The key is just for you, not for anybody else. We have key fobs that you can purchase for $55. Those were used in the past before we had the lock boxes we had now that didn't work with iPhones. Now, if you're an agent somewhere else as well and they don't have the same lock boxes we have, you might need that key fob to access those boxes. Just depends on what they're using. And lock boxes can be purchased for $94.34. When you buy a lock box, it's yours. It's not a lease. So if you leave the business, it's your paperweight unless you send it to somebody and sell it to somebody else. Sometimes we buy back lock boxes, but we don't buy them for that. I mean, I don't remember what we buy them for, but you will sell it probably for a better price to another agent than selling it to the MLS if we were buying it back. And if you buy a lock box from somebody else, in order for us to transfer it into your name, we just need a bill of sale. I think we have a form that's a bill of sale, but you could use anything you want. Piece of paper has an agent's name and their number, your name and your number, and it says they're selling it to you, and then we can put it into your account. Home inspectors can have e-keys. They have what's called an affiliate key. They have to have the call before showing code, the CBS code from the lockbox they're accessing. So if you're the listing agent, you can go to your settings on the Supra website or your e-key app, and you can look up the CBS code that the home inspector would need. IMLSmobile.com. That is our mobile website. You will notice there's a picture of an old school BlackBerry up there with it on there. That's because it's a very simple site that works on any device mobily. It is not the regular Paragon. Obviously, you can tell that doesn't look like Paragon. And so it's just a basic, simple mobile site you can use. Any device that has access would be able to access that. You log in with your same information as you do for the MLS. One thing about IMLS Mobile is it's case sensitive. Paragon, the regular login page isn't case sensitive, but Paragon Mobile is. So if you created your password and you put it in uppercase or lowercase something, you'd have to have it the same. If your location services are on for your browser, it will use the GPS on your phone to find properties near you. It doesn't bring up a map, but it just uses that information. And you can see property information. When you view it, you see agent information. And then you can also email to your clients information from the listing from the IMLS Mobile, and it's always a client view. It's a PDF they get. So IMLSmobile.com. HomeSnap is the mobile app that we have available. HomeSnap is pretty cool. If you haven't used it, it can be pretty useful. Lets you access the MLS data. Now, HomeSnap is an app that consumers can download as well. They can log in with Facebook and see listings. When you log in and say that you're a realtor, it has you put in your email address or find your MLS account, and then it shows you the agent information. So you see agent information, the agent remarks, showing instructions, and you can see that confidential information. And then you can also see how you're connected to other agents. You can look at agents' production in there. This screenshot's hard to tell, but what this is showing is the selling side and listing side and what the average price was for an agent over the last year or last 24 months or something. So HomeSnap can be pretty useful. HomeSnap is free. If you haven't tried it, I definitely would recommend it. I haven't tried this. Someone told me they tried it and it worked. But it's called HomeSnap because you can take a picture of a house and it should bring it up in the app for you. You drive by a house, take a picture of it, and it should be able to find it for you. That's why it's called HomeSnap. And for HomeSnap, just like I was talking about, when you go here to training info and resources, there's a link here to HomeSnap with information about what HomeSnap is. If you go to the HomeSnap Pro University, there's training videos there, training videos from registering your account to searching, agent-only information, lots of training videos there for HomeSnap. So HomeSnap can be pretty useful. CRS data. CRS stands for Courthouse Reporting Service or System, one of those two. But CRS data is public records information. So it's able to pull up owner information, and you're able to go in and search using maps to identify parts of where a property is located. You can export that owner data if you were trying to do some kind of farming or something. So since we got Paragon here, we might as well use it. So for example, if I'm looking at a listing and I'm viewing the full detail, there's a little black and yellow CRS data icon that you can click on right here. And that shows me the property information. There's the owner information, sales history. I can go down here to the mortgage history, see the mortgage details. Now that's not on every property. Idaho's a non-disclosure state, so sometimes it depends on the lender and title company. But that's the kind of information you get from CRS data. The other thing it does, like I mentioned, it does this farming tool. So you can get to it here on the dashboard, go to CRS data. And if you're using the farming tool, let's say I go here to prospecting, and let's go to Ada County, and we'll zoom the map in over Meridian. See the parcel lines coming up there. Let's get north of the freeway here. There we go. And so then once I have my map where I want, over on the right, I can use a little search, the magnifying glass, and draw a shape. So I'm just going to go here to polygon and draw right here. And then I can include or delete. I'm going to include this shape. And then as I scroll down, now you'll notice there's the property information. And I can go to labels and exports, and I could export to Avery Labels. You have 5,000 exports a month you can do. But I can choose the label I want to export to. So if I'm doing farming, I want to send postcards out to a neighborhood or something, trying to get owner information, that's kind of what CRS data does. So it's CRS data either there on the dashboard or when you're viewing the listing, the icon right there. So CRS data. Questions about it?
Yes. Do you have other counties other than Ada?
All the counties we cover. Yep, all the counties we cover are there. Yep. All right, so apparently I closed that, so let's get caught up here. All right, so that's CRS data. Cloud CMA. Cloud CMA is a tool the MLS provides. Again, it's like CRS data. It's free. It allows you to create CMAs, flyers, property reports, and buyer tours. And Cloud CMA, when you open it up, it initially has you log in, and it connects your email address to your Cloud CMA account, so then you can get in there from the dashboard anytime you need to. With Cloud CMA, the first time you go in, before you create something, you'll have a video that's here on the front page. But once you create a CMA or a flyer, then you'll see your most recent activity on here on the front page. When you're viewing a spreadsheet, if you have the action icons on your spreadsheet, you can create a flyer and a property report right from the action icons. That's also on the full detail here. And if you do a search and select properties, under the actions menu, you can add them to a buyer tour or add them as comps in your CMA. So because Cloud CMA, when you're searching for comps, isn't very useful because it doesn't have a lot of criteria. It only It only uses proximity. So it doesn't use square footage or number of acres or year built. But you can go into Paragon, run your search for the comps that you're looking for. Once you've selected them, then you can send them right into Cloud CMA and create that CMA using those comps. And the reason Cloud CMA doesn't have its own search tool is it would never be as good as the MLS. They'd always be playing catch up to what an MLS can do. And so they just make it a way to export it from the MLS once you found your properties. And Cloud CMA has this presentation view. This is a screenshot of one from yesterday. And it's set up to be used like on an iPad or a tablet, and you can swipe through it. But it also looks good just on a large screen. You can use your mouse and click through it too. So it's just a way to present it to your client instead of just giving them a packet of paper. And so that's one of the things you can do with Cloud CMA. The other thing Cloud CMA does, and I don't have a slide about it, is you can get a link that you can put on your blog or web page, or you can share through social media that allows someone to request an automated CMA on your behalf. So when they go to your link and it says, what's my home worth? They put in their address and their name. Cloud CMA generates a kind of a really generic CMA and sends it to them on behalf of you. And it tells them that it's automatically generated, and it's going to be purposefully, it's more broad and with more comps than you would normally include, so that then you can contact them and be more precise. And so that's part of Cloud CMA as well. Anybody tried Cloud CMA before in here? Okay. How was it? What was that? It is easy. It is easy. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a tech person. I like technology. I did not go to school for computers. When I was a senior in high school, my parents and I went to a class after school, and I got a certificate for WordPerfect 5.1. So that tells you how old I am. And so if I can learn technology and I can learn it, anybody can. And so the thing with Cloud CMA, I'm glad somebody said it was easy, is once you've learned how to do one thing in Cloud CMA, it's honestly the same 4 steps for everything else. I mean, they're all different. A CMA is different than a flyer, but it's the same process. So if you haven't tried it, I would recommend trying it. We usually just have classes once a month, like I said, because they don't fill up. But I mean, doesn't mean you can't call us. You can, and they have great support online as well. So Cloud CMA, very useful. So Instanet Forms, DocBox, and Authentisign. Instanet is one of the 2 forms programs that the Idaho Realtors are providing right now, the Idaho Association of Realtors. So Instanet is online. All your contracts are there from the Idaho Realtors. When you're in Paragon, there's a link on the full detail to take you right into a transaction in Instanet. You can access it from anywhere. The DocBox part of it is document storage. You can store or save contracts. You can upload documents. Authentisign is the electronic signing. There's no limit to how many signings you can do. Now, Form Simplicity. It says coming spring 17. You might be thinking, well, Chris, Form Simplicity is already here. And that's true, it is. But the integration with Paragon is not there. There's not an icon on the full detail to take you to Form Simplicity. Now, you can go into Form Simplicity, eventually get to a CMA, and then you can put an MLS number in and have it load some data. They're working on the integration with Paragon, so it will be able to import more data and allow you to click from a listing and create that transaction. Instanet will be here until fall of 2017. So if you are learning Form Simplicity, that's great. I'm not going to say go to learn Instanet because it is going to go away. But if you have been working with Instanet and you're like, I don't want to, why do I want to use this? Instanet will be here till the fall. Form Simplicity isn't going to go away. And so it's not like there's a rush right now to switch from one to the other. Because there are things that Instanet does, Form Simplicity doesn't do. I'll give you an example. In Instanet, you can go in and fill out a property data form, like all the information about your residential listing. And then you can click Upload Listing in Instanet and send it to Paragon as a partial listing so you don't have to retype all the data. And then you just add a few things to it, save it, it's a live listing, you're ready to go. Form Simplicity doesn't have that. You can open up a data form in Form Simplicity, manually type in all the information, save it, open up Paragon, and then manually type in all the information into Paragon. Eventually, that integration with Form Simplicity will be there, but right now it's not. And so currently there's 2 form systems. The same current contracts are in both. So either one is fine, but like I said, in the future, and I said spring 2017 because they really haven't given us a definite time frame of when that integration will be complete. So as soon as we know, we will put the information out there because there's lots of people that want to start using Form Simplicity that are not because it's not integrated with Paragon the way Instanet is. But Form Simplicity has document storage, has electronic signing, just like Instanet does. Looks different, works a little different, but does the same thing. Just like stick shift automatic, they both get you from here to there, but a little different. So that's Form Simplicity. Listing Book. This is one of the products that has two parts. It has a free part and a pay part. The free part is very limited. They kind of do that on purpose. But what Listing Book is, Listing Book's a tool that you can go in and enter your buyers and sellers in there, and then they get automated information automatically from Listing Book. For a buyer, it's based off their search criteria, shows them new listings that are out there. For sellers, you can enter in what their property criteria is, and then for their current listing, and then it sends them the comparables and the competition that's out there. With Listing Book, it automatically sends them emails. You don't have to maintain it. You don't have to do any of that. And when they look at a property or they mark a property as one they like, you're able to view that in Listing Book. With the free version, it lets you put in one person at a time, and you're limited in what you're able to see what they've done. With the pay version, you see a lot more, and you put it, and it's unlimited. I don't know what the full cost is. It's changed from time to time, so I'm not sure what it is. But if you want, if you want to see how Listing Book works, if you pay for it, you'll see how it works. It's that the free trial is not nearly compared to what it really does. So that's Listing Book, and obviously it's linked to the MLS. It has the data in there like other websites do. Goomsy Realty Connect. So Goomsy Realty Connect we've had for like 8 years, 10 years maybe, I don't know. But Realty Connect is a text message marketing tool. And it also, like Listing Book, has a free part and a pay part. The free part, everyone has 2 short codes that they can use indefinitely. And so you get a sign writer, like the little picture shows, put your short code on there, somebody texts that information, and they get the text on their phone about the property information. And for the free version, you get those 2 codes. You can reuse them as often as you want. For the pay version, you can have more codes, and you also get a mobile, I won't say mobile site, but they have a link to click on to view more information, including a picture. And the other thing that the pay version has, it has something called an autoresponder that you go and specify what you want it to say. But what would happen is they go to your property, they scan the QR code, or they text the number, they receive a text back from the initial text that has the property information. And then with that autoresponder, it sends them an additional text within a few minutes and says, I notice you're in front of it. Like, it can say whatever we want, but it might say, like, I notice you're in front of my property. These are the hours I'm available. Give me a call if you want. If you're interested in setting up a showing, this house is available these times, or whatever. And then they can respond back. Now, they're not texting you. They're texting the Goomsy app online, the program online. And so you can go on there and you can see when someone has texted what they've said about the property. And I've had many people say, well, Chris, MLS has that, but my lender gave it to me. My title company gave it to me for free too, and I didn't have to pay anything. The thing about Goomsy is they're not scraping the data. No offense to title companies and lenders, but if they're giving you something for free, it's because they're getting something out of it. And so like if you're getting text message marketing from your lender, it's because they're scraping the data for those mobile numbers so they can market to those people who are requesting that information. Goomsy doesn't do that. Their business model is working with agents and brokers and offices to use this product and MLSs to get it out there. Their tagline in the past has been empty flyer boxes are a thing of the past, just meaning that you don't have to put flyers in a box anymore out in front of the listing. You could have like a laminated flyer, something where somebody scans the code or texts the code, and then they get it on their phone. And if you think about it, that's an awesome, whether you use Goomsy or not, that's an awesome way to do it, because how often do you clean your car out of garbage? Probably pretty often. And if you've been driving around with a buyer, your buyer's driving around, they're getting flyers in their car, eventually they throw those away. But how often do you go in and delete your text messages? Probably less often. And so if someone goes and texts your property and has your name and number in there, and then they're looking at another house and you texted them before, maybe they want to text you back and find out about another house or call you or something. So anyway, it's just a way to get your name out there. I'll give you an example of somebody who used it. There was somebody who had a property out in Bruno, and they didn't want to have to drive out there once a month or once a week or whatever it was, but flyers out there. So they put a laminated flyer that had the text code on there so the people could get information off it. So, which made sense to me. So that's what Goomsy Realty Connect is. List Track. So List Track is a tool that lets you see Google Analytics for your listings and where they're at on websites. You can see real-time activity. You can see views of other sites, where they're going. You can send your seller a seller report on that information. I'm actually going to log in here and show you List Track, but I got to log in here differently. So Pull it up here. I don't have any listings to look at, but I can show you at least from MLS, from an MLS level list track. So here it's showing a map where the listings are being viewed. So there's a list of zip codes that are viewing it. And if I zoom in, we can see where in Southern California people are looking at the properties. There's Fresno right there. And so it's showing you where people are at that are viewing the properties. And so you can do that on an individual listing basis. Farther down here, I can see, like here, it's got websites, Zillow Group, IDX, Trulia, MLS, Homes.com, how often they're being viewed. Here it's got the course of over the days, how often it's being viewed. And so it can give you some pretty good information about how your listings are being looked at, where they're being viewed. We had an agent once that the seller wanted this agent to purchase some advertising in a certain zip code in Southern California, and they were able to pull up their listing on ListTrack and see it was already being viewed in that area. So they could take that back to their seller and say, you know, we don't need to buy that advertising because we're already reaching those people there, and you can tell from the sites that they're going to. And they don't have every site here. They're adding more and more all the time, but they do have Zillow. They have Market Leader, Homes.com. Those are all there. And so that's ListTrack right on the dashboard. Lets you pull that up. And you can, analytics, we talked about that. And then you can send a seller report. So if you have a seller that really likes data, you can send them a report every week that shows them how often their home's being viewed compared to similar homes, or you can send it to yourself. And that's all done via ListTrack. Showing Time. Showing Time is a tool that allows agents to schedule showings via either Paragon or the Showing Time app. So it's a way to not have to play phone tag with someone else. And so you can do text messaging, you can get phone calls, you can use the Showing Time app. As the listing agent, when you go into your profile in Showing Time, you designate how you're going to be notified of showing requests. If you don't designate it by default, it's just showing voice, which is an automated phone call. But as the listing agent, you can go in and choose how Showing Time will work with your listing. You can turn it off. You can choose an automatic reply, or you can have you reply. It doesn't have a picture of it here, but you can also set up your seller. So if your seller is the one that is scheduling the showings, instead of you getting a phone call from the selling agent, you calling your seller calling you back, and then you calling the selling agent back to schedule a showing, by using Showing Time, you could have the request go directly to your seller. And then they could reply yes or no via the app or text or whatever. And then you still could be notified when they approve a showing. But that bypasses you as the playing phone tag to get to your seller. So Showing Time can be pretty useful that way. And then Showing Time, like I said, there's an app you can download. And if your seller has the app, they download the app, they can be linked to their property, so they can receive push notifications on their device if somebody wants to show it, instead of, again, playing phone tag with you. Because how many times have you tried to call, if you're a listing agent trying to call your seller, you have to leave a voicemail. Does everybody like leaving voicemails? No, nobody likes it. Do you like calling back your voicemail? Do you like listening to it? No, nobody likes that either. So Showing Time takes that out of it. It's just a simple request. Showing Saturday from 3 to 5. Yes or no? Yes. And it's coming from Showing Time, so you don't have to have any chit chat or anything else. It's just, here's the request, yes or no, and then it's approved or it's not. So Showing Time can be pretty useful. And I don't have any screenshots of this last part with it, but one of the things Showing Time does is, people ask all the time, how can I get listing data from Paragon to my phone? There is no way to do that in Paragon. But with Showing Time, you can take properties, add them to a showing cart, you don't even have to request the showing from someone. Put them in a showing cart, pull up the showing cart on the Showing Time app, and then on each property, there's an icon to navigate you to that property. Yeah.
When it comes to this one, are you able to link it to where it will send that request directly to your sellers? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, when you go to your individual property, you can add a co-agent, you can add a seller as someone who's going to be notified of those requests. Okay. And you can make it so that they're the one that's notified, they're the one that has to respond, and you're just notified. Yep.
So they can approve it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't used nearly as much as they thought it would be used, and a lot of older agents have not been very quick to adopt it. But if you go online to YouTube and look up showing time. They have a bunch of testimonials of agents that have used it all over the place. People use it a ton. And if I was an agent, I would always use this because I don't want to play phone tag. And I want my seller to get showings as quickly as possible. And all it takes is for an agent to be skipped past because someone used showing time and they didn't, to make them realize how important it is. Now, I mean, I on a personal level, I could care less if you use it. I don't get extra money if you use it. I had someone come to me after this last time and said, "Man, you really talked about showing time a lot. Do you really, really like it?" I think it's got a purpose. I think it could be useful. But I mean, it's all about how it's going to work for you. I mean, there's lots of things that we have that people don't use very often because they get stuck in their ways and they don't look for somewhere else. I mean, we had 2 mobile apps from August to December. We had the Goomsy app, the mobile app, and we had HomeSnap. HomeSnap had 5 times the adoption in 4 months that Goomsy had in 5 years. So we got rid of Goomsy at the end of December. Yesterday, Barb got a call from someone who was trying to use Goomsy and it wasn't working because we don't do it anymore. There's a consumer side of Goomsy. They can look at that all they want, but they're not going to get agent information because we're not working with them anymore. But you know, some people get stuck in their ways. And if you were to compare Goomsy and HomeSnap, they're miles apart. I mean, HomeSnap is a lot more polished. I mean, Goomsy was great. We didn't have HomeSnap before, but then we got HomeSnap. So showing time on the listing side, you set up how people use it. On the showing side, you schedule your appointments that way. Realtor.com Find. So Find is the agent side of Realtor.com. Any listings on Realtor.com you can pull up and find. And when you're looking at a listing, there's an icon on the full detail that opens that listing up in Find. There's community reports that Find has as well. It's very Google-esque in its search. You don't have a lot of different search items like Paragon does. Like if you wanted to look up something in Portland, you would just write 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Portland, Oregon, and it would come up for you. But anything on Realtor.com you can pull up. And the thing with Find that's great is you're part of Intermountain MLS. We are the largest MLS in Idaho, but there's like 9 other MLSs. And so if you grew up in Lewiston, but now you live in the Treasure Valley and you have somebody that you work with here that's moving to Lewiston, and the reason I said that is because per the code of ethics, you need to sell someplace you know. So you know Lewiston, but you live here. You could go to Realtor.com Find, pull up listings in Lewiston, and then you would know who the listing agent is. You would know information about it, be able to share that with your friend who's moving to Lewiston or whatever. Plus, you can obviously search anywhere in the country. And when you pull up listing data, it's agent specific, so you're going to see the listing agent and listing broker information. So that's Find. RPR stands for Realtors Property Resource. It's a tool for agents that NAR provides. You've got data sets, like it says, over 150 million properties across the country. Most of that is public records data. Now, if you're a member of more than one MLS, any MLS you're a part of, you're going to see the information in RPR. If it's only Intermountain MLS, that's what you're going to see. But you can see tax assessment information, distressed property information, mortgage history. Now, again, it depends on the area where you're looking for properties. In Idaho, we're a non-disclosure state, so sometimes there's not a mortgage history. But in those disclosure states, it is jam-packed full of information. Floodplain maps, school information is there. And when you're looking at a listing, right here is RPR. When you're on the dashboard, here's RPR. But if I click on it here on the listing, it pulls up that property in RPR, and then I'm able to see the information that they've been able to gather about that property. And one thing that RPR has that can be pretty useful is an RVM. And I know I have a screenshot of it here in a minute, but I was going to show you a current one. So what the RVM stands for is Realtors Valuation Model. And RVMs are based off of on and off market data, and they calculate the value of the home based on market activity. And when you're looking at an RVM, and you hit view details, it shows you the properties they use to calculate that value. So there's the subject, there's the comps they used, recently sold, and one for sale property. With this RVM, they have a 5-star confidence rating, which means they're pretty confident. The range is 226 to 250, 238, 430 is the RVM. It's still active at 249, so it's not selling at 249.9, or it would not be active. I mean, that's the whole way you can tell that. But this price is within their range. When RPR was launched and they came here to do their presentation, their statistic was they're within 10% of what the home will sell for. This isn't a perfect science. They haven't driven by this house. It's a computer program saying, here's this house, here's market activity near it with similar properties, here's the range we're going to assign to that. If there's not enough market activity, they don't have RVMs. And RVMs are available on active properties or unlisted properties, not just ones in the MLS. And when you're looking at RPR, there's the map right here. The gray icons are off-market properties. So here's the one I was just looking at. Here's the one next to it. When I click on it, you'll notice it has an RVM, even though it's an unlisted property. And I bring up that unlisted property. I can see the owner information. And then I haven't looked at this listing before, so we'll see. Here's mortgage records for this listing. So, and deed information. So that's kind of what RPR provides to you. It's got a lot of public records information, trying to help you be aware of the property more, give you other information, plus a lot of market statistics. There's my little screenshot of it from one before. RPR Mobile does the same thing, but RPR Mobile obviously lets you access it on your mobile device. RPR Mobile is available for iOS and Android, and you log in with the same login you created for RPR. With RPR, because it's from NAR, when you set up your account initially, they need your national realtor number, your NERDS number, to create your account. And then you create a password, and then you can log in. And when you're using RPR, one last thing about it is, if you're using RPR Mobile and then you go to RPR Online, you will see a phone icon for any property that you looked at on your device. So you don't have to try to remember what house you drove by with your buyer. If you looked at it on RPR, it's going to come up and show you what property that was. So RPR Mobile, pretty useful. If I could only pick 2 mobile apps to use, I would use RPR and HomeSnap. Now, the reason I say both of them is RPR has a lot more property history information, more access to public records data, and information about off-market properties that HomeSnap doesn't have. But HomeSnap is a great way to collaborate with a client, because you can send them links from HomeSnap. They can pull up the same thing on their device. So, and where RPR is just for agents. So that's RPR Mobile. Down payment resource, we have a tool that allows you to see if down payment assistance programs are available for a property. When you're looking at it in Paragon, right over here on the right, that's the down payment assistance icon. You click on it, and it's going to show if there's any down payment assistance programs available. And if there are, like this one has, you click on next steps, and then you can provide that information to your buyer, and they can see if they qualify. So it's not making you a lender or anything. It's just letting you know what's available. So then you can provide that to your buyer. When they launched this a couple years ago, 87% at that time, 87% of our listings were eligible. So what I will tell you is, if you have a buyer that wants to buy $1 million home in the foothills and they're asking about down payment assistance, you want to ask some more questions, because there's not going to be any assistance available for those people. But for people for normal people buying a $300,000, $200,000 house, depending on where it is, there might be down payment assistance available. So, and it's got both. I don't think it says it on here, but it's got both. It's got housing financing agencies, nonprofits, as well as lender type products as well. And you can access it from the listing like I just showed you. You can go to down payment resource on the dashboard from Paragon. And you actually can add it to a spreadsheet if you wanted. If you wanted to only find properties that had down payment assistance available, you could do that. That's an example of that. RE Technology is a tool the MLS provides that allows you to subscribe to a newsletter. So if you don't get enough emails and you want to get some more, RE Technology can send them to you. Now, that joking aside, if you're interested in free trials or new technology in the real estate industry, RE Technology can be useful for that. But I mean, they are going to send you emails. But there are a lot of times discounts or free trials of software and stuff. When you go on the dashboard, I mean, the front page of Paragon, go to partners. We've got a few here: DocuSign, Tour Factory, Tour RE. Some of those, like Tour Factory, that have a service that you can purchase by going through our link. There's a discount. I mean, they all vary. But I know if you go to tourfactory.com and were to sign up, it's more expensive than if you go through our link. There's a discount there. So you can go to partners and you can see those there. IntermountainMLS.com is our public website. Consumers can come here, search for properties, open houses, agents, and offices. There's a link there to our statistics. When they come here and do a property search, they can do an actual search, a map search. They can put advanced criteria in there. When the properties come up, it's the list of properties. If you mouse over the picture, you see a larger version of it. When somebody clicks on a property, they get this detail view to come up. And if there's an open house, it tells them when it's occurring. If the agent has uploaded their photo or a logo, it would be there. When someone comes to intermountainmls.com, it's our public site, and we aren't an office. We're not a real estate office, so we don't hide who the listing agent is. So if someone pulls up your listing, they're going to see your name. There's a send a message button right here. When they hit send a message, they're sending a message to you through the intermountainmls.com site. So that's our public site, so people can pull up listings. And as an agent, on the dashboard here, you can go to public website, and that lets you go in and update your public information. And I don't think I have anything in here for my account. Yeah, it doesn't come up. But that lets you go in there and customize your information as it's displayed to consumers when they come to the website. It's also, if you're a listing agent and your pictures aren't updated on intermountainmls.com, because they only update once a day, you can refresh the pictures as soon as you change them. So it pulls them from Paragon, but it doesn't update them except for once a day. So you can refresh them. But that's our public site. There's an agent login down here at the bottom. If you click that, it takes you to the regular login dashboard, the login to go in there. Paragon 5. Paragon is the MLS program we use. It's the provided by Black Knight is the company that makes Paragon. It's the MLS system. If you're looking for information on Paragon, I mentioned before, we have classes on it. You can call us for support, but there's also a help button up at the top of Paragon. So if it's a Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock and you're doing a CMA, there's no phone support available for Paragon, but you can go to help, click on whatever thing you're doing, and then you can get information about that process in Paragon. And they have training videos, they have live webinars, recorded webinars that are all free that you can use. Paragon has a tool that you can use with your clients called Client Connect 2. Well, it's called Client Connect, but it's the second version of it, Client Connect. So what Client Connect is for, Client Connect is so that a buyer or whoever you have in Paragon can see listings based off a saved search that you've put in there. And then when they open up that link, either on their computer or their mobile device, they see the properties that match that search. They can mark them as favorite, possible, or rejected. They can click on any of those columns that are there. They can view recent sales based off their criteria. Basically, it takes the criteria and flips it and shows them the most recent solds from that criteria. They can mark, there's a little picture of a mobile device. They can mark it as favorite, possible, or rejected. That's a thumbs down if you can't tell. And the nice part about it, like you can see on the little screenshot there, they can do a search. They can draw a shape with their finger. This is the picture of it on a mobile device. It's not an app. And I've had people say, well, an app would be better. So I'll tell you why an app is not better. When someone has an app and they update it, in order for all the users to have the new features, they all have to update it. When it's a website, you update it once. Everyone goes to your website. They have all the updates. So that's one of the reasons why the site, in this case, is better than an app. But if you have an Apple device or an Android device, if you open up your browser, you have an option to add a shortcut to that website on your home screen. So if you know how to do that, I'm seeing some of you nod your heads, get your client to open up their Client Connect link on their mobile device, help them add that link to their home screen. Every time they tap on that icon on their phone, they're seeing the listings they want to see. They don't have to log in or find their saved search or whatever properties that they made favorites. It's all right there on their mobile device. And Client Connect 2, this version of it was launched in November. Before the Client Connect we had before that didn't work on mobile devices. So that's where Client Connect 2 kind of excels. And with Client Connect, there's no pages. They just keep scrolling down. It's essentially an endless scroll. So you can see all those properties. They mark them as favorite, possible, or rejected. They can leave comments. And as an agent, you see all that information in Paragon. You don't go to Client Connect. It's not called Agent Connect. It's called Client Connect. Yeah.
So when you create those shapes with their fingers, is it going to automatically be a circle, automatically be a square, or can they do like an oblong?
It's going to be whatever they've drawn. Whatever they've drawn.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever they draw, it's going to do. If they want a square, they want a circle. I mean, they just basically have to connect the beginning to the end, and then they've got that shape.
Okay, perfect.
So the trick is, I mean, and people say this all the time, and I understand why they say it, but this isn't meant for you. This is for your clients. People always say, well, I want to see what my agents are going to see. I mean, what my clients are going to see. Well, then make yourself a client and go into it that way. But as an agent, there's no place for you to log in or anything. This is meant for your consumers. It's meant to be similar to other websites and apps they use. But as an agent, you see all of it in Paragon. Just for example, I've got a fake person set up here in Paragon. And so if you have them set up for Client Connect, what you're going to see next to their name is the word site. And then here's favorite possible rejected. And if you want to see Client Connect as they see it, you click on site, and that opens up your Client Connect site as that person. So you can see what they're looking at. You can see the information here. But again, as an agent, there's nothing for you to do here. It's just what your clients are going to see. So if you haven't tried Client Connect, didn't know what it was till today, it can be pretty useful. Now, Paragon also has another tool called auto email notification that it's had forever that lets you set up a search and email listings out. The biggest difference between auto notification and Client Connect is when they get the Client Connect email, when they click on the link, it takes them to Client Connect to have them put in their password and log in. And if they have their password saved on the computer, it'll remember it and log them right in. With Client Connect, they can mark those favorites, possible rejected, and come back and see those listings another day. With auto notification, they get an email, they click on the link, they view the listings. There's no password, nothing to set up. They click that link, they've got the listings. Now, if they want to save a listing with auto email, they can't do that. If they want to look at the listing from last Tuesday, they've got to go to last Tuesday's email and click on that link to view that property. So there's plus and minuses about both. What I would say is when you have a new buyer and they're not really sure what they want or how soon they want to do something, that's perfect for auto email because there's so little they have to do. They click on a link, they view the listings. But once they get to a point where they're interested in coming back and viewing properties again, and they're kind of making a list of what they like and what they want to come back and view, Client Connect lets them do that. And you can easily turn someone off from auto email, turn on Client Connect, and they can go in and do that, and vice versa. So, but there's two different tools to notify your clients about properties. So back to Paragon. Paragon also has a map tool. Paragon lets you go and do a map search. You can do three kinds of shapes: polygon, rubber band, and radius. So your own shape, a square or a circle. When you draw those shapes, if there's too many properties to view it, the zoom level you're at, you'll see these little blue circles. But if you zoom in, they go away and you see the properties. And the map is just there to help you search like your clients search. When they open up the Realtor.com app, it doesn't say, what area do you want to live in? They just bring up a map, draw a circle, or draw a shape, or use their GPS, and they're right where that is. Well, this lets you do the same kind of thing. And so you can use the map to, they want to live within a mile of Ivy Wild Park or whatever it might be. You can go in and do that. Paragon works on any browser, cross-browser compliant. Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, Internet Explorer, 10 and above, Edge. I will tell you, for the best experience, Chrome, Firefox, Safari on a Mac. I will tell you that there's one thing with Safari on a Mac, though, is print doesn't work, only Print Plus. But if you use Chrome or Firefox on a Mac, then it works. So does that mean Safari's got a problem? It does, because obviously Safari's got something else going on that those others don't have a problem with. But any browser works, Chromebook, MacBook, any of those will work. When you're searching in Paragon for addresses, you want to remember that less is more. Agents enter those addresses, and there's a lot of different ways you can enter addresses. The address of our building is 9542 West Bethel Court. So how did I spell court? Is it CT? Is it CT period? Is it COURT? We know those three things mean the same, but to a computer, those are different. So if you're searching for an address and you put CT and they put COURT, you won't find what they put in there. So less is more. Only put in the street number and the name of the street. Don't put in the direction or the street type, and you'll have better luck finding your addresses. When you're working with properties, you want to make sure if you're emailing or printing, you're sending out the right view, the client or consumer view. And most of them are going to say customer, client, or brochure. And in Paragon, by default, when you email, it's only going to let you email the client detail until you change it. So it's not that you're not going to accidentally send out something you don't want to. There's a newsletter that we send out weekly. You can manage your subscription at intermountainmls.com on the agent side. So if you're not getting it, you can subscribe to it. If you don't want to get it, you can unsubscribe. When you're looking at listings, they all have a map icon on them. And if you're the listing agent, you can go in and make sure the mapping is in the correct location via listing maintenance. You can hit change geocode and make sure the map is in the right spot. If it's in the wrong place, you can rearrange it and save it, and it will use your settings. Also, as an agent, as the listing agent, you can upload documents to your listing, upload a property disclosure or other information for agents to see. And those documents can be made public or not. Public means when someone emails that listing, it'll have a document icon on it for a consumer to view. If it's not public, only agents in Paragon are going to view it. Paragon voice search. If you are in a place where you don't have data coverage and you need to search for a property, As long as you're calling from your phone number and your agent record, so for most people that's their cell phone, you can call that toll-free number and an automated human voice will lead you through with some prompts to let you search for something. So if you need to do that, you could do that. And then when you're looking at listings, you want to make sure that you're able to customize those reports. And so since I don't have a screenshot of it, let's bring it up here in Paragon. So here's the client detail. And for most people on the client detail, it doesn't have anything down here at the bottom initially. It says click the customize button to enter your own information. In fact, let's put mine back that way. So I'm going to hit restore defaults, save and close. All right, so this is what the client detail looks like. It says click customize, the customize button, then fields above this listing to enter your own custom contact information. So I go up here to customize in fields. And then the only lines that are customizable are white. The only 4 lines on here are down here at the bottom. So I can come down here, type in whatever I want. Maybe I'm on a team. Maybe Nick and I are on a team together. And you only have to enter it once, and then every time you use that report, it's going to have that information on there. Okay, spell my name right. And then the company, and the phone number. You just customize it once, and then every time you use it, it's there. So I hit save and close, and now at the bottom that information is there, and any listing I go to is going to have that. Yeah. Down here at the bottom. These two right here. Right. This right here. This picture here, and this logo right here.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that it automatically puts the realtor
And equal housing. Yeah.
How do you put your photo?
So when you log into Paragon, it has you go through that wizard. If you go through that wizard, it'll have you go to where you can enter that information. But it's also here under user preferences. The first thing you see here are the logo image and the agent image. But if you go through that preferences wizard, it'll take you to that too. So if you're always skipping the preferences wizard, I would recommend going through it at least once, and then it won't bug you anymore. But then that will also take you through where you can upload those from your computer. But you want to make sure those reports are customized appropriately so that it has your name on it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had agents call and say they emailed a listing to someone, and it still says, click customize above this listing to add your own custom contact information. And we only have 4 lines to write. I don't know who, I didn't write that precisely, but I know they tried to make it as clear as possible. We couldn't put a picture pointing up, but it's trying to tell you, click customize, then fields to make the changes. And that was the residential version of it. There's 6 different versions of each report. Farm and ranch, business commercial, vacant land, all of those have their own version of it. I just customized the residential. So if I had a client looking for vacant land, I would need to customize that version too. So because they all look different, they all have different information. And if I changed offices, I would need to remember to come here and change that information and change my logo too, because that's not going to happen automatically. So that's the customizing part there. So as far as the MLS goes, some of our continuing goals: stay on top of new issues and new technology, continuing to provide new services and tools. So sometimes it may seem that there are so many things the MLS has on that dashboard. What am I supposed to use? You need to use what you need to use. I mean, whether you're using HomeSnap or RPR or Paragon Mobile or your broker's app or whatever it might be, we're not trying to overwhelm you. It's that the board really tries to find, if there's a product that they can get for agents for free without having to raise dues, they're going to get it because they want to provide as many choices as possible. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Cloud CMA, we have it, is it's something that you're able to provide at a real low cost, not have to raise the quarterly amount, but provide an enhanced service for agents. And so that's how we got Cloud CMA. We're always trying to take care of participants and subscribers, so agents and brokers. Provide accurate and current information to those brokers and agents. That's why we have the rules class. That's why you have the fines. We want to make sure that information is accurate. That also helps reduce broker liability. And then we're constantly trying to move the consumers to a realtor. That's why on our website, we don't hide who the listing agent is. I mean, we want people to know who the agent is. Who's the horse's mouth I got to go to get information about this house? That's what we're going to tell them, because we want to provide that information to move those people to a realtor. And the MLS, like I said, has lots of products and tools, lots of things, lots of apps that we have, classes and things. Not trying to overwhelm, but trying to provide choices and options. And so if you have a question and don't know what something is, don't hesitate to call or ask or come in. We're going to have a tech fair in May that's going to have some vendors from some of these products come. It'll be awesome. They're going to come and talk about their products, and it's going to be at a hotel over off of Eagle Road. I think Eagle and Overland, somewhere over there. Anyway, you'll see more information about it in the future, but keep that in mind that in May that we'll be having that. So next thing I have here, there's a little antitrust presentation. We'll see if it'll work here.